It is an eye-opening snapshot of the housing crisis in the South Bay. A new report found that homelessness is rising. In some cities, the unhoused population more than doubled.
America, what we're witnessing in California probably won't blow your mind. In Palo Alto, where houses cost $3 million, homelessness is up 103%. In Mountain View, where the Google headquarters sits, it's up 56%. We're talking about tech workers making six figures sleeping in their cars because liberal policies have made housing so expensive, even engineers can't afford to rent. But here's the kicker. While Americans are living in RVs on the streets, California is spending billions on services for illegal immigrants. This is liberal priorities in action. Take care of everyone except for taxpayers who built the state.
Santa Clara County saw an 8% increase in the homeless population over the last 2 years, according to a January count. The report found that major spikes on the west side of the county were happening in some of the most expensive communities in the entire Bay Area.
What is up, guys? Tyson de la Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly illustrates how progressive policies have destroyed the very communities they claim to help. Let me paint a picture of what's happening in California that the mainstream media won't show you. These aren't drug addicts or mentally ill people living in these RVs, though California has plenty of that too. These are working people, tech employees, janitors, service workers who keep Silicon Valley running.
A drive down Mountain View's Lake Horn Street. It's hard to miss the RVs lined up here and on nearby streets.
We stay here for 2 years, maybe 20, 25 RVs. Now it's 70, 75 more. The people in the San Jose or East Palo Alto or Redwood City coming here.
Ruben, who's been living on Lake Horn Street for 2 years, watched his RV community grow from 20 to 25 vehicles to over 70 vehicles. These aren't lifestyle choices. These are economic refugees fleeing from California's housing crisis. And they're not coming from other states. They're coming from other California cities where the situation is even worse.
His experience matches the county's latest point-in-time count report. It shows Mountain View's homeless population jumped from 562 in 2023 to 879 in January 2025.
Think about those numbers. Mountain View's homelessness population increased by over 300 people in just 2 years. That's not a statistical blimp. That's a humanitarian crisis happening in the shadows of billion-dollar tech companies.
Ruben and others say sky-high rents in Silicon Valley pushed them out.
For one room or one apartment is very expensive. It's $3,500. Crazy.
$3,500 for one room. No, that's not a one-bedroom apartment. We're talking about one room. This happens when liberal policies restrict housing developments while flooding the market with illegal immigrants who compete with the same limiting housing stock. Supply and demand isn't just economic theory. It's the reality for working Americans priced out of their own communities. Here's what most people don't understand about these RV communities. They're not chaotic camps. They develop their own system, their own rules, their own leadership structure because California's government has completely abandoned them.
He often reminds them to follow their rules so everyone can stay longer. That means no visible trash and no blocked sidewalks.
It's for the people, see everything is clean, no have complain. I talk to the older persons, hey, you know, you need it clean, you need it nothing to stop outside, respect for everyone.
Ruben has become the unofficial mayor of his RV community, teaching newcomers how to stay under the radar, keep it clean, don't block sidewalks, respect neighbors. These are survival strategies in a state that's criminalized being poor while rewarding being here illegally. The established RV dwellers become like neighborhood watch for their homeless community. They set rules and enforce them because they know if they make the block hot, if they attract too much attention from complaints, the city will sweep everybody out. It's a delicate balance between visibility and invisibility.
Mountain View Mayor Ellen Kamei says encampment sweeps in San Jose have pushed more people here. She also says the city offers more homeless services compared to other small cities.
Even the mayor admits their quote-unquote compassionate policies are attracting more homeless people than other cities. This is the progressive policy trap. The more services you offer, the more people you attract, the bigger problem it becomes. Meanwhile, the root cause, unaffordable housing due to liberal policies, never gets addressed. This is where the story gets gets really disturbing because we're not just talking about unemployed people. We're talking about working Americans who can't afford basic housing in their own communities.
Mountain View is one of the most expensive places to live in the United States, and that would be one of the most expensive places to live in the entire world.
Yet it's where Google expects their employees to work. Think about the insanity of this. We've got people making $100,000 a year sleeping in their cars because they're trying to save up for a house down payment in an area where a starter home costs $2 million.
Ruben hopes to move into one of those units. He's on disability, but works part-time as a janitor to save money for an apartment.
Put the money in the bank, 2 or 3 years, come back in one apartment or one house.
This is a man with work ethic, trying to do the right thing, but California housing policies have made it nearly impossible for working people to afford basic shelter. These are janitors, service workers, people who keep these tech companies running. They're working full-time jobs and still can't afford basic housing because liberal policies have created an artificial scarcity that benefits wealthy property owners while destroying working-class communities. Let me explain how these liberal policies created this crisis, because it's not by accident. It's a predictable result of prioritizing ideology over economics.
In Mountain View, that's why we're seeing an increase in vehicles. We're one of the few cities that allow people to be able to park on our city streets.
Mountain View allows RV parking on city streets because they've given up on actually solving the housing crisis. Instead of addressing the root causes, excessive regulations, environmental restrictions, and policies that make housing development impossible, they're just managing the symptoms. California has the highest taxes, the most regulation, the most progressive policies, and the worst homeless crisis in America. This isn't a coincidence. It's a cause and effect. When you make it impossible to build housing while flooding the market with people competing for limited resources, you get exactly what California has: working people living in their cars.
We have about 5 affordable housing projects in the pipeline, working to get the last bit of funding to become online, but they're already council approved.
Affordable housing projects in the pipeline. This to me is liberal speak for we're going to spend billions of taxpayer dollars on government housing while doing nothing to address the regulations that make housing unaffordable in the first place. It's treating the symptoms while ignoring the disease. Here's what really gets me about this situation. While working Americans are living in RVs, California is spending billions on services for people who shouldn't even be in this country. California spends over $30 billion annually. Let me rewind that back. $30 billion annually on services for illegal immigrants, healthcare, education, housing assistance, legal aid. Meanwhile, American citizens who work full-time jobs are sleeping in parking lots because they can't afford rent.
The county report also found many people who are newly homeless. Those surveyed most often blame losing a job. Others cited a divorce or breakup as the reason they ended up on the street.
These are the kind of life changes that used to be temporary setbacks, but not permanent homelessness. But California's housing costs are so inflated that any financial disruption can put you on the streets. While California politicians virtue signal about being a sanctuary state, their own tax-paying citizens are living in their cars. This is the progressive priority system in action. Take care of everyone else except for the people who actually built and fund the state. Maybe it's time for federal intervention when the states can't house their own working citizens. If California can't manage basic governance, keep people housed, streets cleaned, and communities safe, perhaps they need adult supervision.
Today, Mayor Matt Mahan and County Supervisor Betty Duong laid out plans for a new partnership. Now, that would connect the city to county services like a shelter hotline and free behavioral health treatment.
They're creating new partnerships and hotlines while the fundamental problem, unaffordable housing due to liberal policies, remains unchanged. This is like putting a Band-Aid on a severed artery while refusing to stop the bleeding. The Trump administration should consider withholding federal funding from states that can't house their working citizens. When tech workers are living in RVs while billions go to illegal immigrants, that is a failure of basic governance that requires federal intervention. America, what's happening in California is a preview of what's coming in every state that adopts progressive policies. When you prioritize illegal immigrants over tax-paying citizens, when you make housing development impossible through regulations, when you tax productive people to fund non-productive programs, you get exactly what California has. Working people living in RVs while billions go to people who shouldn't even be in this country. Tech workers making 6 figures sleeping in their cars while the state spends $30 billion on illegal immigrant services. This is progressive governance in action.
We also have a desperate need as Washington and Sacramento pull back. The federal government is cutting Medicaid. The state just zeroed out HAP funding this year and is only committed to maybe funding half of the usual level next year.
They're complaining about federal fund cuts while spending billions on illegal immigrants. The priorities are completely backwards. They'll fund anyone except their own tax-paying citizens. Don't let this happen in your state when politicians start talking about California-style policies. Remember these images of RV cities in Silicon Valley. Remember working Americans priced out of their own communities while billions go to people who broke our laws to get here. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.